Sometimes to get out ahead in life, you need to beat the system. And these people do it better than anyone else. Join us as we show you them. Number 23, following the instructions. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure this picture says everything you need to know about what's going on here. Don't you agree? Good. Let's move on. 22, freedom. I would never do this myself, but apparently these boys felt it was so hot one day at school that they needed to wear shorts. But the school said no, so they had to come up with another idea. And yeah, as you can see, they did. Seriously, I would never do this, but you can't argue with the results. It's better than wearing pants on a hot day. Number 21, the fake proposal. The idea of doing a fake proposal to just about anyone is likely to get you punched. I may have experience on this subject. So you'd think that people wouldn't do this that often. But according to this couple, not only did they do it, they did it so they could get a free cake. No, really. They found out this restaurant will deliver a free cake to those who propose in their restaurant, so they did that. I mean, it's clever, but they better hope that no one in the restaurant sees them afterwards and asks about the wedding. Oh, and they hope the cake was tasty. 20, craning your neck. So I want you to picture this. You're a dedicated fan of a sports team, like really dedicated. So much so that you apparently get yourself banned from the sports field that you frequent regularly. First off, think about what you would have to do in order for that to happen to you. I mean, that takes some serious doing. Anyway, you need not fear though, because you had an idea. If you can't watch the game from inside the field, you'll watch it from the outside via getting a crane and literally looming over everyone. No, really, a guy did this. And guess what? It's actually legal as long as you park in the right spot. Expensive, sure, but legal. And he got to watch the game, so winning. Number 19, name the shapes. School is hard, okay? And when it comes to beating the system, you have to sometimes get creative, which is exactly what this person did with this very basic geometry homework. As you can see, the intent is to name the shapes, meaning square, rectangle, triangle, etc. You know, the basic stuff that we learned in the first grade. But regardless of what grade this person is in, they totally beat the system in a way I appreciate. Because not only did they truly name the shapes, they gave them human names, which is brilliant, because that's not incorrect. They didn't say, give the shapes their proper names. They just said, name the shapes, which they did. Beat the school system. 18. Special sale. Running a business can be very hard, and at times it can be so hard to comply with town rules. For example, take a look at this top half of a picture. Don't worry, we'll show you the rest in a bit. The sign states that there is a festival in the town they're in. Basic stuff. And due to the rule of said festival, they can't sell drinks. Likely to not interfere with the profits of vendors during the festival. Also, fair enough. But that means that this store is left holding the bag for a slow weekend of sales because of the festival. Right? Nope. Check out the full picture now. Oh yeah, that's brilliant. Not nuts, brilliant. Workaround. Number 17, don't tell me what to do. If you're a parent, then you know that the hardest thing to do in this world is to get kids to follow the rules. And when it comes to this parent, they laid out the rules in a very clear manner. And the kid obeyed, while also cheating the system so that he could eat and play on his tablet at the same time. Honestly, if that was my kid, I would quit too, because if he can do that kind of beating the system at his young age, imagine what he'll be like as an adult. Actually, I would rather not picture that. Moving on. 16. Wheeling around. We're going to show you a picture of a sign that has restrictions on it. Okay, here it is. Read everything that is on this sign. First off, what do they have against all of these things? Do you just hate wheeled recreation? Anyway, with a list that complete, you'd be hard-pressed to find a workaround that was both fun and still sticking it to the man, you know, except, yep, There's a man on a unicycle here. Brilliant. Love it. Long live beating the system. Take that, restriction sign. Before we show off even more people who beat the system, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. That way you don't miss our weekly videos. Number 15. The spare. When it comes to cars, there are few things worse than getting a ticket or getting towed. But one thing that can happen to really put you in a bind is getting a boot on your tire, meaning that they lock down a single tire so you can't drive away until something is paid or owed. However, for this guy, he was not only unbothered by the whole situation, he worked it in his favor in the most brilliant manner ever. He put on a spare tire. The boot doesn't block you removing the tire, so that's what he did. Brilliant and technically legal. 14. Don't break the seal. There are certain things in this life that are bound by a certain seal or oath that you inherently accept when you use a product. We don't always like it, and there are things that we can do about it in order to get around it after use, but most times we hesitate to even break the seals and use the item. But this person, they decided to go around the seal when it comes to use the CD they got, and all they had to do was just break open the bottom part of the package the CD was in. Now, I'm sure some of you will point out that the guy or gal is likely still on the hook for whatever happens, and that may be true, but at least he didn't break the seal. Number 13. Where to park. In certain cities, it can be an absolute nightmare to try and find a parking space, especially when city signs prohibit you from parking next to houses or on certain parts of the street. But for this motorcycle ride, they use their bike shape to their advantage. Hard to beat creativity like that, don't you think? Granted, we don't know if he got towed or not, but let's just picture that they didn't and laugh at the hilarity of it all. 12. Dogs allowed. Look, I totally understand why some people don't want dogs in certain places. Dogs can be wily, they can be hard to control, and sometimes they don't respect the boundaries of other people. It happens. But you can't fault this particular dog from using its own body to help break the rules. And it didn't take much. All the dog had to do was cover the no part of no dogs allowed, and it can be happy. In fact, the dog honestly looks thrilled to be there. Would you really want to reject that dog? Number 11. The chores. All right, while this one is brilliant, I don't think it's best to screw with a mother when she's telling you to do chores. Granted, the idea of the son taking the post-it note and hanging it out to dry and not the sheet like his mother was intending was rather hilarious. But when you get a text from your mother stating that you messed up big time and she's mad, yeah, you might have beat the system, but now your mom is going to beat you. Recognize the time and place, everybody. That's all I'm saying. 10. Menu items. One of the hardest kinds of businesses to run is a restaurant, and that's due to the fact that there are various health codes and other things. And some states and places have unique rules that need to be followed if you're going to be open to the public. For example, apparently in some places, even if you're a dedicated juice or alcohol bar and you advertise yourself as that, you must offer food to the public in some capacity. So this restaurant did, in their own way. Props to them for using the description text to explain why chips and salsa are $200. Although now I have to wonder if anyone has ever been stupid enough to actually go for that. Number 9. Toilet humor. When it comes to going to the bathroom in a public area, nothing is worse than finding out someone who used it recently didn't flush. And so, people who run those bathrooms put things like this sign up in the bathrooms to try and remind people of what to do when they are done. Although, I don't think this is the kind of check they were intending. Do you? 8. What do you have against dogs? These pics come from Twitter, and they do not disappoint. Basically, the New York subway has banned the bringing of dogs into a train cart if they can't fit into a bag. By that, they're intending for small dogs to be allowed into the subway, not big dogs. But because the law states that they have to fit into a bag, people decided to use the biggest bags they have and their dogs in them. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why you don't mess with New Yorkers. They're crafty. Number 7. I'm watching you. A security camera is a good idea in the home. But when you do get one, you shouldn't tell your child about it unless they're responsible, because otherwise they'll do this when they know you are gone for a few days. Yeah, this is why being a parent is scary, because kids can be clever enough to do things like this. Granted, I'm sure the dad figured out what was going on eventually, but it doesn't remove the fact that he didn't know what happened in that house for 5 days. 6. School night movie night. Again, kids can be clever, and college kids need to be clever both in class and in their relationships. So when a dorm won't allow the opposite gender into a certain place so a couple can be together and it's movie night, you need to get creative, which this couple did. If you think about it, that's not too much farther for them to enjoy the movie, but it wouldn't be something they could do during winter. Still, I'll give this an A. Number 5. Shoveling. Okay, you might need to squint to see the true intent of this one. What do you see here? No, it's not a trick question. What do you see here? You see snow and someone shoveling a path of sorts through it that connects to the porch, right? Well, the guy who did so was told by his girlfriend to shovel a path, and so he shoveled a path. Not exactly what she meant, but you can't blame the boyfriend. He did exactly what she said. 4. Don't ticket a ticketer. For the record, this one is highly illegal, so do so at your own risk. Apparently, this guy knows that he's doing bad things by parking his car in illegal zones, and he knows that if he's caught, he'll get a ticket. So he uses a fake ticket, or a reused one more than likely, to ward off the ones who grant tickets so that he doesn't get a real one. I want to know how many times he did this before getting caught. My bet is 5. Number 3. Word to your mother. Going to camp over the summer is supposed to be a highlight of the year for some kids, but that doesn't mean there aren't rules to follow, such as writing your parents after a week at camp. For one kid, he was literally forced to do it, else he wouldn't eat. So he wrote this. 2. Marvel at the brilliance. Okay, this is legendary. A class honestly had students try and embody a Marvel Comics character and was then told to write a cover letter and resume as them to the best of their ability. This brilliance was the result. I am Groot. Number 1. Women's rights. Usually I wouldn't end this one on a serious note, but this way of beating the system was just too perfect to not put it at number 1. To put it bluntly, the Middle Eastern nations of the world don't show respect to women like they deserve to because of outdated thoughts about their culture. To that end, Iran won't allow women to attend soccer matches in their country under any circumstances. That sucks, especially when an Iranian team is about to win a championship. Did that stop diehard fans of the Persian Gulf Pro League from going to see their team win? Nope. These 5 girls actually disguised themselves as men to get in, and they got let in. Ladies, you rock. Let no one tell you different. Thanks for watching, everyone. What did you think of these people who beat the system? Can you believe how clever they were to get away with all of the stuff that they did? Does this give you ideas on how to beat the system yourself? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time on the channel.